Before commencing work on a job site, you need to be in control of the energy source, otherwise an accident can happen to you, no matter how small the job is. In this video, you will learn how to control the energy sources on a site using Cirlock's Lockout Tagout system. In doing so, you will be introduced to the Lockout Tagout system, learn what lockout devices are and how to use them on a worksite, learn Cirlock's Generic Lockout Tagout Procedures, and be shown how Cirlock's most popular devices can be used to control energy sources. Lockout devices are used to allow one or more locks to be applied to an energy isolating device, like a circuit breaker, to safely keep it in the off position. The term lockout means to apply a lock to an energy source in the off or a safe position. The term tagout means applying written information, usually a tag, to an energy source, advising not to operate the source and also the reason. The lockout and tagout system should always be used together. It is not sufficient to tie a tag to a circuit breaker because anyone can still turn it on. A padlock must be applied and a danger tag should be included to show when and why the energy source is locked out and also by who. Before commencing work, any hazardous energy relating to the work must be locked and tagged out. Cirlock has created lockout devices which are specific to each energy source. Some devices are universal in the way they can be used on a variety of breakers, fuses or valves. A lockout device enables one or more padlocks to be used to hold the energy source in the safe position. A lockout station, which includes a number of different types of lockout devices together with padlocks and tags, is an excellent way to ensure correct devices are always available. The fundamentals of lockout procedures are such that employees have personal locks which only they have a key for. This type of lock is called the personal lock. The personal lock, using one lock and one key, means that only the owner of the lock can open it. This owner keeps the key at all times. The padlock can be color-coded and personalised with the employee ID, name and/or company logo. The one lock, one key rule should always be applied to personal lockout padlocks. It is important for safety reasons that no one but the owner of the safety lockout lock can open it. For larger job sites, group lock boxes can be used. Once energy sources have been locked out by a supervisor, the supervisor places the keys into the group lock box and uses a personal lock on the outside of the box. All workers then place their personal locks on the box, preventing access to the main isolation keys unless they are all present to remove their personal locks. The following lockout procedures are generic in nature only and must be used only as a guide. Specific workplace conditions are not covered by this video, and procedures should be made or modified to suit the conditions. There are 6 steps in the general lockout procedure. These are: obtain permission from the owner to work on the equipment, identify all energy sources including stored energy and their isolation points, ensure all staff are safe and aware, lock out all isolation points in the safe position, check for dead, that is, isolation is properly made. Once work is completed, perform the de-isolation steps. For de-isolation, follow the following 4 steps. Ensure all personnel are clear and cannot be injured. Ensure all equipment is clear and cannot cause injury. Remove the isolation devices. Restore energy. Test run as needed. The following isolation essentials must also be kept in mind. All energy sources to a piece of equipment or plant must be isolated prior to any work commencing. Machines and drives shall be isolated at the main energy source, not just the control circuits. All persons required to work on the isolated system must apply a personal danger tag and personal lockout padlock and confirm that the isolation is in place. The use of a multiple lockout HASP shall be considered by the first person to apply a lockout lock. Before any work is commenced on or entry is made to equipment under pressure or vacuum, the pressure shall be returned to atmospheric level. In pneumatic and hydraulic drives, the power supply shall be isolated, pressure vented, vent lines and drain valves isolated, and any lines or valves which may leak and pose a hazard shall be replaced or leaking be prevented by other means. Exhaust, letdown or drain valves should be locked and tagged in the open position. Moving parts which could cause injury, even though disconnected from sources of motive power, must be physically restrained and tagged. Blocks, wedges or similar should be used as needed. Hazardous material should be removed from any system prior to commencing any work on it. Personal lockout padlocks shall be used for personal protection when working on isolated equipment. They are usually red in colour and should not have duplicate or spare keys. Personal lockout locks shall be attached so that isolation points cannot be inadvertently energised. On larger job sites or plants, it is common to have a master key which will open all workers' locks. The master key must be kept in a safe place by management and only used in accordance with procedures. Similar to the master key option, there is also the key to like scenario, where one set of several padlocks are opened by one key. This key is kept by one person, usually the supervisor, who can lock out all necessary isolation points on a job site with the single key. Personal danger tags shall be used for personal protection when working on isolated equipment. Personal danger tag shall have the user's name, department and company details written on it, and can have a photo to identify the user. Out-of-service tags shall be used to protect equipment or to alert others of potential danger for the equipment. They are to be used on faulty equipment, which could pose a risk if operated. Information tags shall be used to pass on information about equipment conditions. Equipment displaying an information tag shall be used only once the information has been read and understood. Information tags shall not be used as substitute for danger tags or out-of-service tags. Where several workers are required to work on isolated equipment, a lockout HASP may be needed to allow more than one padlock on the isolation point. A supervisor's lock shall be placed first, followed by individual workers' locks. The supervisor's lock should be a different colour than personal lockout padlocks. Each person working on isolated equipment shall place a personal lockout padlock and personal danger tag on the isolation points prior to commencing work. If the job extends over several shifts, the supervisor's lock stays on the isolation points. All workers leaving the job shall remove their personal lockout lock and personal danger tag. The supervisor then hands the key to the supervisor lock to the next shift's supervisor. Personal lockout padlocks and personal danger tags shall only be removed by the person who placed them or by their supervisor in an emergency when attempts to contact the person have failed. Specific procedures must be in place and followed in this case. Where a larger number of workers are working on isolated equipment or a number of different isolation points are to be locked, group isolation shall be used. For group isolation, all energy sources are locked and tagged out by an authorised tagger or supervisor. Keys are placed in a group lockbox. The supervisor and all workers on the job place personal lockout padlocks and personal danger tags on the group lockbox prior to commencing work, preventing access to the keys. Only when all locks are removed can the main energy sources then be activated. The supervisor shall be the last to remove their lock from the group lockbox. A supervisor's group isolation padlock should be different in colour to that of personal locks. Where needed, if there are many isolation points, the isolation point shall be listed and the list kept with the group lockbox. All employees shall receive necessary training in the isolation and lockout procedures for each area of work undertaken by a company. The generic lockout tagout procedures created by Cirlock are to define the minimum systems requirements for isolation of plant and equipment from hazardous materials, mechanical, electrical or other energy sources, to protect from personal injury and equipment from damage. Thank you for taking the time to discover the Cirlock lockout tagout systems and generic procedure. Remember to stay safe. Lock out all energy sources prior to commencing work. For more information, please visit cirlock.com.au. Please continue to also view our short instructional videos showing how the lockout devices are attached to various isolation points.
Circuit breakers and fuses, UCL1, UCL2 and UFL2. Turn circuit breaker off. Place device over circuit breaker's toggle. Tighten screw with a small screwdriver. Place padlock with a danger tag through hole, preventing access to screw. Verify that circuit breaker cannot be turned on. Use a scissor HASP if more than one person is working on the job. Now to show a UFL2 on a fuse holder. Remove fuse link. Place UFL2 on edge of fuse holder. Tighten screw with a small screwdriver. Place padlock with a danger tag through hole, preventing access to screw. Then verify that fuse cannot be reinserted. Ball valve and gate valve, BVL1 and GVL1, GVL2 to 10. Push BVL1 onto ball valve handle. BVL1 will fit various sizes of ball valves. Squeeze it together till it sits tight on handle. Place a padlock with a danger tag through hole to prevent BVL1 from being opened. BVL1 will also lock a ball valve in the open position when this is needed. Now to show GVL2 to 10 types. Close the appropriate size valve lockout around gate valve. Place padlock with a danger tag through hole. Use a scissor HASP if more than one person is on the job. Group lock boxes. Group lock boxes are used when many workers are on the same job. The main switch or other energy source is locked out. The key used is placed in a group lockbox. All workers place their personal padlocks with danger tags on the group lockbox. Key for main switch cannot be accessed until all workers have removed their locks. Multifunction cable lockout devices. MFL cable lockout can be used in many situations. Wrap the cable around what needs to be locked, in this case, a valve. Feed cable through clamping part. Pull tight. Squeeze clamping part together. Then place a padlock with a danger tag through one of the holes. MFL cable lockout can also be used to lock out several points with one lock. Feed cable through lockout devices. Feed cable end through clamping part. Squeeze tight. Place a padlock with a danger tag through one of the holes.
Plug and air hoses. Place plug top in lockout bag PLD1. Close bag around cable and squeeze clamping part together. Place a padlock with a danger tag through one of the holes. Plugs can also be locked with a plug lockout box PLD13. Now to show a plug lockout box PLD13 with an air hose. Place air connector in one of the various sized holes provided. Place padlock with danger tag through hole and verify that air connector cannot be removed.